In this tutorial video, we're going to have a look at how to share a survey that you have created and then download the results and conduct your own analysis. So I'm assuming that you have already managed to create a survey within your GOFOX account, and now you're ready to share it with your intended respondents. So to do this, you simply click on the share button here, copy the URL, and then send it to your intended respondents by email. When they open the URL, they'll see the standard Future of Conservation survey, but with the addition of any bespoke questions that you have created yourself. And on the consent page at the front, there's some additional information here to explain to them that you, as the user of GOFOX, will be able to see their data so that they're giving consent properly informed. And it's very important that you respect their right to decline to participate in the survey if they don't wish to. Once you have had some time has passed and your respondents have been able to take the survey, you can have a look at their data by clicking here on the Responses tab. So in this account here, we've got 4 people who have taken the survey to date. You can view a quick summary of their results on the 3 dimensions of conservation thinking that we've identified in our research here. And then if you want to, you can dive into their individual results by scrolling down here, look at their results pages and their full responses to all the questions. But once you think all of your respondents have finished taking the survey, what you need to do then is conduct your own analysis of the overall results. And to do that, you click first on the CSV button here, which will then automatically send you a file containing the data to the email address that you have registered to your account. You save that wherever you like, and you can then come and click here on this link, which takes you to the external GOFOX analysis site. So I'll just click on that link now. So now we've opened this separate page, which allows us to conduct your own analysis. You need to click on the Browse button here to go and find your CSV file, which you've saved, which I've got saved here. Open it, it automatically uploads to the site, and now we can start to look at our own data. So the first tab here allows you to visualize all of the responses to the survey. So here you can see the number of people in your group of respondents who have agreed or disagreed to each of the statements organised down the left-hand side here. And this gives you a quick and simple overall visualisation of which statements your group generally agreed with or disagreed with, and which statements in the middle here might have been more controversial within your group of respondents. We then move on to this next tab. We can start to explore to what extent your group of respondents gave similar answers or different answers to the overall respondents to the Future of Conservation survey at the global level, which is a data set of around 10,000 respondents. So now we have organised statement by statement the average answers with a standard error for your group of respondents in the black dots compared to the average answers to the global group of respondents in the red dots. And this allows you to see very easily which statements were generally similar in the answers between those two groups and which were rather different. So just taking as one example here, this statement about achieving conservation goals, to achieve conservation goals, the environmental impact of the world's rich must be reduced. You can see that this group of respondents gave answers which were generally less in agreement with this than the global set of respondents. We then move on to look at a 3D visualization of results from your particular group of respondents. So what we've got here is your data organized on the 3 dimensions of conservation thinking that we have identified through our research. And these are people-centered conservation, science-led ecocentrism, and conservation through capitalism. And this figure is showing the set of responses for your particular group of respondents on each of these axes, which are what you can see here. These little vertical lines represent each response on the 3 axes. And then the lines connecting them show how each individual respondent answered across all 3 dimensions. So you can begin to work out by drawing the lines between them the kind of overall picture of what kind of conservation your respondents believe in. And if you want further information on how to interpret this information, you can look at the About the Debate page on the Future of Conservation survey main site. You can toggle on and off the various different elements of this figure at your pleasure, so you can switch on and off the individual results for each axis and the lines connecting them together. You can also turn on and off these little white circles here, which show the neutral point on each axis. In other words, this is the score that a respondent would get if they were to give a neither agree nor disagree answer to every question. And this is useful because it just gives you a sense of how your group of respondents compare to the kind of underlying ideas in the dimension. So here we can see that although there's quite a wide range of responses on the people-centered conservation axis, all but one of the respondents agrees with the underlying concept of people-centered conservation because they've given positive answers to the questions associated with that dimension. One exciting thing that you can do on this page is begin to look at differences between any subgroups that you've identified within your set of respondents based on the unique questions that you might have added when you created your survey. So here, for example, we've created an additional question called Years in Conservation, which asked respondents how many years they had spent working in the conservation sector. Having toggled this question on, the figure changes so that you can now see all of the results colour-coded by the number of years that the respondents have worked in conservation. That can be a bit of a tangle to interpret all together at once, so here you can click and highlight one particular group of respondents at a time. And that allows you to look for whether there are any consistent differences between these subgroups within your set of respondents. And if you want to download any of these images and have a look at them separately or use them in your own presentations or work, you can simply right-click on the figure and then save it to your machine as you wish. And the final thing you can do here, if you want to, is show in the background a sample of results from the overall Future of Conservation Survey respondents in this sort of light grey, which allows you to get a sense of how your group of respondents compare to the global set of respondents once again. You can do something very similar in 2 dimensions at a time. So in this case, rather than looking at all 3 at once, you have a more traditional XY scatter plot that just shows 2 of the dimensions at a time, and you can select which dimensions you wish to show up here using the buttons here. So I'll just switch the Y-axis to a different dimension and it will redraw the figure. Here the dotted lines represent the neutral point, so you can see that most respondents here agreed with conservation through capitalism and science-led ecocentrism to a varying level of strength. And again, you can look at the results by the custom question. So here now the results are colour-coded according to the number of years that respondents have spent in conservation. We also have the ability to look at some descriptive statistics that just describe verbally your results, so identifying how your respondents compare to those in the overall Future of Conservation survey, which statements your respondents most strongly agreed with and disagreed with, which statements had the highest level of consensus between your respondents, and perhaps most interestingly, which statements were the most polarising for your respondents, so those where there were very inconsistent answers, which might be areas that are worth exploring in more detail with your group because those are the topics on which they don't seem to agree with each other. And finally, you can download some of the summary figures from your data by clicking here on this download button. Those just look at the overall picture. If you want to explore and download images in more detail from your particular personal sub-questions that you created, you just need to come back to this page and right-click and save as you wish. So we hope that overall this will provide you with some really useful information and analysis that you can bring into your teaching or for your organisational capacity development work. If you have any further questions, there's an FAQ page on the website, or you're very welcome to contact us by email with any questions that you might have.